ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Roundtable. My name is Robert Bannon. If you're listening to us on the Broadway Podcast Network or you're watching us on our virtual talk show, I'm excited that you found us. Welcome to the show. Okay, so listen, I'm a scaredy cat. All right, I'm scared. I don't like Netflix documentaries. I don't want to know mysteries. Murder scares me. Scary things scare me. So you're gonna have to hold my hand, audience. Hold my hand. But I know you love this stuff. You love a mystery. You love a thriller. You love the drama. You love the rebirth and the healing that all the things can be. So we have a guest with us today who has a book out that has been selling copies out and about, called Hidden Memories. Do you think you have hidden memories? Do you know that we all do? We all have things that have traumatized us and have scared us, and that we are going to try to get ourselves out there. I'm excited because Melissa Osorio is going to tell us her journey, how she ended up here, and how she discovered all the things that she has learned since. All right, Melissa, don't scare me.
Hi, I promise not to scare you. I'll give you hope.
I like hope. I like hope a lot. So tell me, when did you decide to write, before we get into your story a little bit, without giving away the whole book, but when did you decide writing a book is the next step? I need to share this story.
I decided that 2 years ago when my life simultaneously imploded and exploded on one night in one instant, when I started to recover memories that my brain had hid from me for my own survival. I didn't know how it was possible. I didn't understand any of it, but I knew they were real. So I went on a deep dive, initially for my own survival. After I started to recover memories, I went on a deep dive, recovering more memories, personal healing. And then I realized that I'm really not that unique. My story is not just my own. The brain hides memories of trauma all the time, especially if the trauma happened during childhood. So I wanted to put my story out there as a beacon of hope for other people that might not know why they're struggling in their lives with so many things, with being unhappy, addiction, prescription medication. And many times the root of that, as it was in my case, can be memories of trauma that are silently steering your life, even though you don't consciously remember them.
You know, I was so moved by this story. I just did an interview with one of the housewives of New Jersey about eating disorders and her growing up and the trauma she went through that led to her where she was. And I spoke about my mother, who recovered from an eating disorder, but I've never spoken about this on this show before in 200 and something interviews, but my mom ended up a member of a cult for 18 years. So we grew up in this family that was, and so much of those memories were blocked and not ever spoken about within my family and within my brother, because of the trauma and the shame and the uncomfortableness and the PTSD of what we've went through. We all have been through. It doesn't have to be your story is a movie, and my own story could be a little Netflix documentary in of itself. But every human being can be healed by something from the past that has bothered them. This is not just for big trauma, right, Melissa?
Exactly. And in my book, I make that point because sometimes we get caught up in like my trauma wasn't that big in comparison to, but that is of zero importance because when we're children, especially, or even young adults or even adults, we have, say, a certain amount of space within ourselves for trauma. So if we compare our lives to a cup of water and my trauma is a yellow dye and your trauma is a blue dye, it doesn't matter the color of the dye. When we put one drop of each of our traumas in our cup of water, the entire water gets tainted by that trauma. So even though my trauma might be X and your trauma might be Y, your entire existence gets tainted by how you process or didn't process that trauma, regardless of what it was.
So is it hard for you to talk about the past? Like, is it hard for you to talk about some of the traumatic events that have happened?
It's been a process to put the book out. When I wrote the book, I was just so determined. I was doing it with an open heart. I just wanted to get the message out there. But when it came time to actually publish the book, it was intimidating. You're opening your entire life. You're opening the darkest corners of your mind for the world to see. So it was hard at the beginning, but to be honest, I have been so blessed getting so many incredible responses and people reaching out and telling me how the book has been so inspirational to them that at this point, I'm just very grateful I get to share it with people. Something I discovered by writing the book is that it only takes one person to be vulnerable, one person to be courageous, and then everybody around starts to open up, and that's how societies heal.
Oh yes, I couldn't agree more, and I can't wait for my therapist appointment tomorrow because I live on the idea of, of we all have something to talk about. We all need some support and help for sure. While I have you here, before we move ahead, Melissa dash Osorio.com is where you can find out all of the things that you're doing. And if you're listening to us and you don't see our faces, it's Osorio. And you could also follow Melissa on Instagram at Melissa_Osorio_remembers. So you can go to Instagram and follow and stay up to date on all the things. The book is available. While I've got you here, might as well talk about it. Hidden Memories is available on Amazon. You can click the link on the website as well and make sure you can get a copy within 2 days so you can get jumping on the story.
And it's also available in Audible. So I narrated in Audible. It's a really moving story, just coming from, from my own perspective and my own voice and my own passion for the story.
So without giving away the beginning, middle, and end, will you tell us a little bit of your story or about what the book is?
Yes, of course. So as so many people, I didn't have memories of my childhood. Not good memories, not bad memories, just little pieces of information. And as many people that don't have memories, I believed I must have had a happy childhood because I thought if something bad will have happened, I will have remembered. And it's the opposite. So I did everything right by success standards during my life. I became a successful woman, business-wise. I married a handsome guy. I had everything set up to really be happy, but I was deeply unhappy. I had eating disorders my entire life. I was, substance abuse with alcohol. I never went into a psychiatrist or psychologist because I thought I was fine. So finally, my life went down a rabbit hole that I knew wasn't rock bottom, but it was a bottom. And at that time, I decided to do something different, something I had never even considered. So I flew down to Costa Rica and I drank a plant medicine, a psychedelic compound that has been used by decades and millennia by many people around the world, called ayahuasca. So ayahuasca has the capacity to do the opposite create the opposite chemical effects in the brain that trauma does. So with the help of this substance, I was able to start remembering what my brain had hid from me. And in my case, it was 13 years of profound betrayal and abuse that I completely blocked off, but that explained all my behaviors, my troubles with intimate relationships, my inability to make friends, my inability to feel emotions. I will often look at my hand and wonder if I even loved 5 people in the world. And I even question if I love my mother. I was completely disconnected from my emotions. And as soon as I started to remember and process the effects of this hidden trauma, my life started to transform. And that's the reason why I really wanted to put this story and this book out, because there is hope. We're not bound to the past unless we ignore it. So just bringing awareness to the past. And of course, it's not an easy road. Self-discovery, self-healing, self-compassion is not easy. But once you start going on that road and you start reaping the benefits, you realize that the value of it is immeasurable. So there's no way to stop, and you just want to tell other people about it.
And it is a very hot topic right now about microdosing and psychedelic drugs and et cetera, is a very controversial by some. And I'm not a doctor and I'm not a professional, but for you, when you went through, so do your information as an audience, get the book, read about her experience, and then make a decision for you. Did you confirm these stories? Did you think they were real? Did you think that maybe you were just imagining them? How did you come to terms to accept that this was the true story? This is really what happened.
So in the book, I actually explain in detail how the memories came about. And I also take a pause from the narrative of the story. And I have 6 chapters in the middle that are just education. They're explaining to people how this is possible scientifically, how the psychedelics work in the brain, the dangers of psychedelics, right? How to do it right, what to be mindful of. So the best way for me to explain it in a brief way is every cell of my body remembered in an instant. Everything, every part of me knew this happened. This was real. My brain took a little bit to catch up, right? The shock to process. But once the shock passed and I was able to objectively see these from an adult perspective, then there was no doubt in my mind that I faced and survived all of these things during my childhood. It explains so many things in my life that before I had just internalized as there is something wrong with me. Like, what's wrong with me? Instead of asking the better question, as Oprah mentioned in her book, what happened to you? Right? Few of us ever ask what happened to me that makes me act the way I act now. We just take it like there is something wrong with me. So to your point, the book is not written to push anybody into psychedelics or into any particular treatment. It's just to give awareness with a very easy to read and compelling story. And the main objective of the book, Robert, is really for people to question their behaviors and emotions, the patterns that they cannot explain, because often they just become our identity. We never question it. But when we start questioning, hey, why do I overreact when I'm with an intimate partner in bed and he touches my shoulder when I'm sleeping? Or why don't I like children? Or why do I have so much anger inside of me? Just questioning all of these. They all have a root. They all have a cause.
Oh, yes, they do. I was just away with my partner, and he was we were in Las Vegas for a conference, and we had there was an event afterwards at a bar or a nightclub. I had the worst, Melissa. I had the most weird reaction to him being like, "Let's go for an hour and just check," because I have had experiences in the past with alcoholism, with abusive relationships, and if you would have told me, hey, you're going to go have a drink with your partner and just have a moment with friends, I would have said, what's the big deal? I would have never thought anything until that moment happens. We react to things from our past all of the time, and we never consciously take a moment to think, why do I feel that way? That's like when people say, I date the same person over and over again. They're a new person, but you repeat that repetition, compulsion, that cycle that we live in. We don't ever take the time to dig deep and to figure out why we do the things that we do. So besides the psychedelic element of it, do you believe in other ways to handle your mental health? What other ways can we get healthy?
Yes, absolutely. And in the book, I also present different options that don't involve psychedelics for those that are not interested in that avenue. But in reality, as with anything, whether it's talking therapy or any other type of body-oriented therapy like somatic healing or yoga or meditation or breath work, the real healing and growth doesn't happen in an instant. It doesn't happen when you're in a psychedelic treatment or in a yoga mat. It happens afterwards, when you're faced with similar choices, when you are observing your reactions, when you are choosing differently for yourself. So it's a journey, and it's a journey of perseverance and resilience. And that's what the book is about, is, really asking the reader to look at the mirror of their own lives with a reflection of themselves as they read the book.
Absolutely. There you go. Absolutely. And I think that is so well spoken and so important, Melissa. So your story, you remembered there's serious. I mean, we're not talking about someone called me a name, I tripped outside of the supermarket. You have severe trauma. It involves parents, it involves death, it involves murder, it involves how much do you go into in an interview? What can you say about what's your story is?
Well, I definitely don't want to give the plot away. However, it is a story of deep betrayal that started very young in childhood, and it lasted for 13 years. And during that time, I did survive experiences that no child should ever have to face. And also, as you mentioned, even very extreme experiences that involve, the opening line of the back of my book is, at 15, I killed someone. That was one of the memories my brain hid from me. And that is a true statement. So, that is in a chapter that people have approached me and told me that is the most moving chapter, because it's not only about the tragedy, but it's about how you can transmute this experience into something so beautiful and valuable in your present life. And it involved another character who is my stepson, that has been a beautiful teacher in my life. So it's revolving, it's bringing everything together in a beautiful way. It's not a story of drama, even though there is drama. It's a story of resilience.
I love that. I love that. Oh, I got a sneak peek of some of the book. And oh boy, Melissa, you give a story. You give, I can't believe it's a real, when is it going to be a documentary, a TV show, a movie? I'm ready for your Hulu, Netflix, HBO Max moment.
Well, we're working on it. It's actually getting good interest in Hollywood, so we're working on it. So hopefully, that will be a way for the message to reach a wider audience. Those people that that used to be like I used to, that are like I used to be. They wouldn't go to Costa Rica and drink ayahuasca. They would probably not pick up a book, but they will watch a movie. They will watch a movie that moves their soul.
So what was it like when you got this published, and what the first message you got? How scary is it the day you put a book out there and your story's out there? Like, was there a fear and anxiety, like the day it went public and was on sale? Was there, like, it's like giving birth to a baby? It's a new chapter.
Yeah, it's such a personal experience. It's not like I just wrote a fiction book and I put it out, although there's a lot of merit in that. This is putting your entire life out there. So I actually hadn't talked to most friends and some family members about this experience until the book came out, and I sent a family message and I explained what it was about. And there was a lot of shock, there was a lot of tears, but mostly there was a lot of support from people that you're Facebook friends with or Instagram friends with, and you never really talk about anything. It's really profound. So there was so much support from people just saying, hey, wow, we see you, we honor you, we love you. So it was a gift in my life, and a gift for me to be able to put this book out, because that's where the true value is, in the reader reading it and connecting with the material.
When people are afraid to go to therapy, afraid to look dig deep, using whatever means, the means you use or whatever means, because they're afraid of the shame, or they're afraid of facing the fears, how did you overcome some of the shame that you might have felt in your life, or the embarrassment, for lack of a better word, I don't know the word you would use, of some of the things that have happened in your past, to share your soul and share your story, the good, the bad, and everything? How do we get past kind of that ego and the emotions that we put in place to protect ourselves?
Well, my entire life, I was a woman that was submerged in guilt and shame. Basically because of the experience I went through in my childhood. I didn't talk to people. I had no friends. I was extremely private. So to go from that to writing a book, what took was an incredible amount of self-compassion. And I encourage the readers to always be compassionate and patient with themselves, but also to be brave. A lot of the fear from going to therapy or trying alternative treatments is misinformation. You don't know what it is, so you're afraid of it. I work really hard in a chapter in my book to kind of address those stigmas surrounding psychedelics. And another really common fear is, hey, what if I go and I discover something painful, something I don't like? And I say, yeah, that's a possibility. That's why when you are ready, you go and you do whatever you need to do to find the answers. But the reality is that if you have a wound, a physical wound, and you ignore it, it doesn't go away. It just festers under the surface and you get infected. It's the same thing with emotional wounds. They don't just disappear because you don't face them. What happens is that you go your entire life with a fog of trauma around you that prevents you from living life properly and fully. And you go right to your grave. And when you're dying, you look back and you wonder what happened. And what happened is that you needed the courage at some point to face the past so you can reclaim your future.
And listen, from my experience, and definitely from Melissa's experience here, you can have, the best is yet to come. You can have amazing days. You can, with hard work and time and patience and a lot of self-care. I work on self-care and self-love every day in therapy, about building self-esteem and forgetting some of the things we learned as children, and the fear and the shame that we've learned and carry with us. It's so powerful. It literally stops us from living our best lives. And books like yours and your bravery and sharing your story is going to heal many, many people to take the first steps to getting help. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hidden Memories, discover what's blocking you from life and love. It's a true story, y'all. It's out right now. Get the book wherever books are sold. Go to melissa-osorio.com or follow on Instagram. That's Melissa_Osorio_remembers. And Melissa, we're so excited to have you here. We're excited to read the book and put in the work. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day.
Some fascinating stuff. No matter what you think about the means that she did, she's very brave to tell the story, and it's an interesting story regardless of how you feel about all of this. We don't recommend anything here on this show. I am just a little old school teacher who has a nice little podcast who sings a couple songs. So I'm happy that you're here. If you like what you heard today, you can always follow me at Robert M. Bannon on Instagram or go to robertbannon.com. Listen to us, stream us every single day here on the Broadway Podcast Network. Go to BroadwayPodcastNetwork.com, get the app, or listen to us on Spotify, Apple, blah, 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 blah. And I'm excited. We have so many great shows for you. Boy George is going to be here. Melba Moore is going to be here. Pina Colada song superstar writer, Tony winner Rupert Holmes is going to be here. RuPaul's Drag Race All-Star winner Jimbo is going to be here. I get so overwhelmed myself. MJ Harris, influencers extraordinaire, is going to be here. So get on the bandwagon of the Roundtable, y'all. Until next time, the best is yet to come. My name is Robert Bannon, and I'm so grateful and appreciative of you being here. And I look forward to seeing you next time here on the Roundtable. Bye, everybody.